Welcome to Biologics Integrated Health Systems TV. It's what health and fitness professionals watch. My name is Gary McCoy and I'll be your host for today's topic, what is metabolism? The simple definition that we use as health and fitness professionals is that metabolism is a term commonly used to refer specifically to the breakdown of food and its transformation into energy. But as you can see, metabolism encompasses a whole range of biochemical processes that occur within us or any living organism. Metabolism consists of both anabolism and catabolism, the build-up and breakdown of substances, respectively. Fitness professionals have the option of measuring two specific types of metabolism: resting metabolism, something we refer to as RMR, or resting metabolic rate, and exercise metabolism. We'll call this EMR to be consistent. Why do you need to measure these? Well, the information gives fitness and nutrition professionals some very specific and highly valuable information for understanding their clients' needs. Let's first take a look at resting metabolism. RMR is the amount of calories used to sustain basic life functions. Things we take for granted that require energy, such as heart and brain function, the process of respiration, and all those internal organs working inside your body. As you know, it takes oxygen and a caloric substrate to create energy. We often refer to this as ATP at the cellular level. Resting rate functions that require energy are always included in this definition of RMR. We measure it directly through oxygen consumption and CO2 expression in a gas exchange assessment. However, it has been estimated historically in our industry using a formula known as the Harris-Benedict equation. The Harris-Benedict equation produces a guesstimate of caloric needs based upon the factors of height, weight, age, and gender. And while this guess might get you into the ballpark, it certainly won't get you into the batter's box when you are trying to design a plan based upon caloric needs. How accurate is it? Well, Dr. Gary Foster at the University of Pennsylvania in 1988 performed a study where he had the ability to use the Harris-Benedict equation and compare it to actual gas exchange measurements. In 5 women, he found an amazing difference. There was up to 1,000 calorie per day difference in needs for women of the same height, weight, and age. That said, I know what you're thinking. One of the equation's faults is that it does not take into account muscle mass. Muscle needs and burns more calories than fat, and weight alone as a marker doesn't supply us with all the information needed to provide accurate RMR assessment. That is why we need to perform a resting assessment using gas exchange devices. RMR is never less than 60% of an individual's requirements on a daily basis. As you can see from the energy balance equation depicted here, RMR constitutes exactly that. The remainder of our caloric needs come from our lifestyle and specifically added calorie expenditure functions such as exercise. If we have all this information, we then have the ability to program based upon our client's needs. We can burn more calories than they take in and create weight loss, or we can add more calories than they need, which will become stored as body fat, causing weight gain. Chances are this is where they have been to gain weight in the first place. And I'm going to guess that 99.5% of you that are listening to this, your clients are looking to lose weight. So this is the imbalance we need to get them to. So what about exercise metabolism, or this thing we talked about called EMR? Metabolism, using our car analogy, is a lot like the engine of our body. The truth is, it never shuts off. God forbid that it does. So imagine your car idling all night or all day in the garage and you never take it out on the road. If the engine was still turned on, it was idling, you would still use a ton of gas. Well, that's your resting metabolism. What we need to do now is take a look at what happens when you put your foot on the gas. What happens when we begin to exercise? Well, making a complex chemical equation simple, we want to get oxygen into the working muscle. The process to provide this is simple. We breathe it in, get it into the bloodstream, it's pumped through the heart to the working muscle where it connects with a nutrient and provides this thing called ATP, the fuel of the working muscle cell. This is a major simplification of an entire chemical process, but I think you get the picture. We need oxygen to combine with a calorie at the cellular level to create energy. When we begin to exercise, we increase the demand for oxygen. Well, when demand increases from the skeletal muscles, oxygen demand increases. As the muscles need to continue to produce ATP at an increased rate, things will happen like heart rate increases, increases in respiration, so we can get that oxygen to the muscle cell. Everything picks up, everything increases. In an EMR assessment, we are taking measurements such as heart rate, oxygen consumption, and carbon dioxide expression. These are the information blocks that give us the insight into this incredible process known as metabolism. Just as with the Harris-Benedict equation, however, we haven't always used an exact science like gas exchange measurements. You guessed it, we've used another formula or combination of formulas to estimate the workload intensities that optimize metabolic function. These have again centered around age. One of the most common methods is the Carbonin formula, which again bases the foundational information for heart rate on age. Well, what's wrong with this picture? Well, in this example, it assumes that all 35-year-olds have exactly the same metabolic rate. Well, what are the factors that could influence change for all 35-year-olds? What about muscle mass and the amount of mitochondria in the skeletal muscle acting to produce ATP? What about the ability to diffuse oxygen across the cellular membrane and its pathway to uptake, much of which could be based upon your training history? What about lung capacity? What about blood plasma volume, venous return rate, left ventricle size, power, and ability to maximize cardiac output? Are all these things identical with age? Of course not. One of the problems we have when we're trying to use estimation equations is accuracy. The Carbonin formula, once used by professionals for heart rate training program design, is now antiquated. The Carbonin method has been debunked by various studies cited in journals of exercise physiology and has been shown to be off by up to 30 beats per minute. Again, a gas exchange assessment where we measure heart rate, oxygen, and CO2 expression provides us with incredible insight to an individual's actual metabolic profile. Accurate data using a simple graded exercise assessment will give you everything you need to know about the design of a program for your client. You no longer need to guess, you need to perform a metabolic assessment. From this data, you'll be able to create heart rate training zones depending upon the goal of your client. You'll be able to get this accurate right out of the gate. You'll be able to see results faster than any of the age-based guesstimates. Well, that's a brief overview into metabolism and why we need to measure it and not guess it. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to you coming back to Biologics TV. It's what health and fitness professionals